Okay, how we doing camera wise? That's bad. There we go. Good enough. So I have the honor of calling us to order at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, July 1st. The first item of business is going to be to determine who is the chair and who will be vice chair of the new composition of the select board. And then I do want to highlight just one agenda change. That is, we will be doing our first interview for town clerk at 3 o'clock and the second interview at 3:45, and then the rest of the general business. So I think, what do I need, a motion from you to start, to open the meeting or no?
No, it's
Okay.
all you.
All right.
Awesome.
Mad with power. So can I have a nomination for chair, please?
I nominate Melissa.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, roll call vote. All those in favor?
Stalker eye.
Walton, I.
I'll abstain.
Okay, well, do you accept your new position as,
Yes, so
okay.
You didn't.
I will make a motion for vice chair. As Eric, you being the new one, I think you'll wanna learn a little before that position, although this is not, we're all a team here.
Right.
As chairs, so
Yeah.
that we can start
Yeah,
meetings
yeah.
and end meetings. So
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for Eric to be vice chair.
I'd second.
I'll abstain. How's that?
So you have 12.
Okay, so roll call vote. All those in favor?
Nikki, so no, I.
Walton, I.
Okay, so it's official. Our new chair same chair.
Face.
Yes.
We've worked the chairs in the past with Rita, Eric and I, as we've all really participated equally with
Mhm.
agenda items and that sort of thing. Only when they need a chair or vice chair, like starting a meeting, ending a meeting, chairing a meeting, that's the only time we really use that. So we're all equal team players.
I'm looking forward to working with
Yes,
you.
and welcome, Jim.
Regardless of
Right.
the official titles.
Right.
Okay, so before we have our interview, I just want to do a sound check because the AC is on. Can people hear well enough? Sure, I can turn it off.
We'll see when the person is done.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Calvin, would you like to come up? So, yeah. So this is Calvin Ellison. He is one of our two finalists, I guess, for the position of town clerk here.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
I have a
you.
quick question. Are you, so you've got to be Raphael's son, right? I'm just saying I know you. That's.
No, that's right.
I don't know what that means, but
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually recognized you.
right. Oh,
Nothing bad.
and you're Ron Berger's grandson, right?
That's correct.
Wow, this guy's connected.
He was my fifth grade teacher.
See, there you go. So you know him too.
He's the best.
So a lot of Shutesbury connections.
Yes.
Ooh,
Wow.
Hold out.
So
You know, we'll decide on that later.
the first question.
Wait a second, wait a second.
Oh, okay.
First,
I'm
let's
sorry.
introduce ourselves and then we will start asking you questions. So, Eric, why don't you go first?
I'm Eric Stalker. You know that apparently. And I've been on this will be my 6th year in this fine committee.
Yeah, Jim Walton, and this is my first minutes.
That's
I'm
right.
a select, but I've been on finance committee for quite a long time. I was a chair for a while and then as a member, it was a good launch pad, learning experience.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Great to meet you.
And Melissa Makepeace O'Neill, and this is my 8th year, starting my 8th year as select board member and lived in town all my life. So
Great to meet you.
deep roots. So yeah. So can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what draws you to this position here?
Definitely. My name is Calvin. I grew up in Amherst, but I spent a lot of my youth in Shutesbury because my grandparents lived here and because, frankly, it was a lot nicer than hanging out in Amherst. When I graduated high school in 2014, I moved away. I moved to Washington, D.C., where I went to American University for International Relations for a bachelor's and for a master's later. And In DC, I spent a lot of time in mostly academic administration, but administration writ large. I also did an internship in the US Senate. And I really, went to DC with this idea that I was going to leave the Pioneer Valley and I was going to go and I was going to change the world and I was going to, walk the marble streets, et cetera, et cetera. But well, I won't say quickly, but what I found over my stay in DC was that it wasn't what was I wasn't so motivated maybe by the actual streets of DC or by the work that was being done in DC. I was motivated by the work of, communities like Shutesbury. I'd grown up with kind of this quintessential model of like New England direct democracy right next door. And kind of, there was something about that and about New England town politics that really drew me back home. So I spent the pandemic working at American University in their academic administration. I worked for several different departments and really felt really successful in that. But when I was looking for more mission sort of driven work and work that I felt would have a real impact, I came home. So I moved home in December of last year. And that's kind of what brought me to find the Shutesbury role, the town clerk role. And I was really excited to see it. This was exactly the kind of role I was looking for when I moved home. And it was just kind of serendipitous that it happened to be open at the time. And yeah, I think I bring an extensive amount of administrative experience, a lot of it, really strong interpersonal skills and good organization. And if I can be of help, I hope I will.
All right. Thanks. My question is, as town clerk, you work closely with the select board, town administrator, and various committees. How do you view the ideal working relationship between the town clerk's office and the select board? And how will you ensure we are kept proactively informed about critical compliance or election matters?
So and you all are the ones on the committee, so you can correct me if I'm wrong if this is very naive, but in my head, the relationship between the town clerk and the select board should be highly collaborative. The work that the board does is incredibly important, and the way to get the resources to you guys that you need in order to accomplish all that you've accomplished, especially in the last couple of years, requires that kind of administrative acumen and like fluency. So I guess for me, I would see myself as really an asset for the committee. I think I would also really hope to, at least over time, develop myself into a real resource for the committee so that if you guys have questions, you can come, you can, I should have all the background that would help to inform y'all when you are making decisions or getting something organized. In terms of getting you critical information, in case you can't tell, I'm a note taker. And so for me, especially with critical communications like that, it's first thing before almost anything else, right? I have a bit of a checklist I do when I sit down and operate my work. And one of the first checks I kind of make is, does everyone have the information they need in order to kind of get through their day and do what they need to do? So yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. During the first round of interview, first came in here, you talked about what it was outlined in the 30 to 60 day assessment plan.
Yeah.
So let's assume you finished that plan. And you found some significant disorganization in our records management or digital archiving. How would you approach proposing and implementing a structural overhaul on it's a part-time 25-hour a week job?
Yeah, and I appreciate your mentioning that it is part-time, right? So like a massive overhaul isn't something that's necessarily going to happen like that. But it's actually, oddly enough, one of my favorite things to do is to like walk into a situation where that kind of optimization is needed and to kind of see like, okay, based on the function, right? Based on who needs this information when, like, let's say this is for like municipal records, right? I think for me, the first question I ask is basically, what's the tempo of how often do these records get, kind of consolidated, right? If they are significantly disorganized, does that disorganization affect the actual quality of the records? Or does it just mean that basically like it's kind of a pain, right? When you go and you're looking for something specific and you can't find it, right? I kind of ask myself these questions around form and function, and I use that particularly in collaboration with people who have, been in the system before, who know what they're looking at, who kind of want, who know more than I. I would want to consult with you all, with Haley, with any of sort of the people who would kind of have a particular interest in, let's say, like a given municipality record, to understand, like, because you can reorganize things a million different ways. But to me, what's really important is that whoever needs that information can get it quickly and without a lot of trouble. And so, how the data is used to me affects that. So if I hope that makes sense.
Yep, thank you.
Shutesbury is a highly engaged community
Yeah.
where residents value transparency and accessibility. In a small town, a town clerk position frequently interacts with neighbors and acquaintances in official capacity. How do you balance being approachable and customer service oriented while firmly upholding strict state statutory guidelines and regulations, even when it's unpopular?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think for me, I really like to meet people where they are, and so I think a true balance between maybe being interpersonal and friendly and getting introduced to everyone. I think that balance, often comes down, at least in many of the cases that I've worked in administration, to kind of, well, you already used the word transparent, but I think being as transparent as you can about the situation that you're in and why you may or may not be able to fulfill someone's request, maybe right then, right? Or maybe not in that particular way. I've often found that, it's good to hear people out because, especially if they're feeling an urgency about their request and you can't meet it, there's almost certainly a good reason for that, right? Whether it can actually affect the timeline or not. So for me, I think the balance is really between getting to know people and empathizing with the situation that they happen to be in, as well as, being honest with them when state regulations or laws find you in a certain way and just saying, look, like, I want to get to the solution that you want to get to. There might be a particular way I need to do it in order to uphold my obligations. But we're going to get there and we'll get there together, and whatever you need to kind of be with me on that path. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm almost a little chilly. I didn't think that would happen today.
Yeah, right. I threw a sweatshirt in the car, I know how this air conditioning situation can be. Anyway, as previously noted, some systems need structural rebuilding, but our town can't press pause on the calendar. You'll be stepping into this role right before a major election cycle and will have to hit the ground running with little room for error. How do you balance the demands of running an election while simultaneously diagnosing and fixing the systemic administrative gaps in the office?
Yeah.
It's a good question, right?
It is. It's great. I mean, obviously the priority, at least in my mind, immediately is that, things on election day go as smoothly as they possibly can. And that's, aiming for perfection is always kind of a fool's errand. You're always going to end up disappointed. But I really aim for functional. And so I think, well, I don't know maybe the particulars. I think I can say that what I would be most interested in is like, where is that disorganization causing actual issues the day of, right? And are there changes that could be implemented between now and then that could make a difference, right? In which case that would definitely be something I would want to put a lot of priority on. But to me, I mean, it's all about democracy. It's all about the vote. And that day has to go well, right? In my first interview, we were talking a bit about what happens if something goes wrong on election day, or what if something, and the answer is, to me, like, you do everything you can up until that point to make sure that people have the best chance they can to exercise their freedoms and duties as citizens. And maybe a comprehensive rebuild of a particular organizational structure can happen after the election, or maybe it can be partially built in a way that just makes things a lot more functional around the election, right? But to me, it's all like the most important thing, especially coming up on a big midterm like this, is people shouldn't have to be like unduly waiting in line for a really, really long time. And there should be expectations set around how they're able to cast their vote. And if between now and then we were able to overhaul something organizationally to make that smoother, that'd be great. But the priority is definitely on the operations, at least for, in my mind, the day of, at least for this, and making sure that just as smooth as possible. Over time, I get really excited about rebuilding, organizational structures, and particularly in record keeping. And so, that can all happen, and I would hope it will. But what's really important on that day is that as everyone can get to vote.
Great.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, a two-part question. What does long-term success look like to you in this role?
Mm.
And how does this part-time position in Shutesbury align with your broader professional goals?
Sure. So I think long-term success to me is really like if I could, and we talked about this a bit around my our 30 and 60-day plan. But can immediately on sort of hitting the ground running, can things that have a lot of urgency behind them be begun to be addressed, right? If there's things that are in the pipeline that have been needing to get across the finish line or get out for a long time, that's obviously going to be my number one priority. For me, like, institutional knowledge, especially in a position like this, is huge, right? And so in terms of what I would call a success is if I got into this role, would be to build, funny as it sounds, just like very clear record keeping and institutional knowledge that would not be, I could be here 20 years, I could be here 5 years. Either way, I would consider a success. Anything that I help build should be replicable by anyone else, essentially, and should be referenceable. Because the number one thing I found that's the hardest about these types of positions is if you step in and all the institutional knowledge is gone and you're just kind of like, yeah, the success is really building for the next town clerk in a certain sense, right? In terms of what attracted me to kind of, or how this fits into my long-term plans is, like I said, I left the Valley because I wanted to get into public service, and I did, certainly to a degree. But I also came back because I was really invested in getting into public service. And I think for me, I like the grit of the day-to-day work. I like being a problem solver, and I like, helping people, help make people's days 5% better, right? And this is exactly the kind of position where that is true. And that's not always true of all municipal positions. So to me, this opportunity is kind of unique in that way.
Yep, thanks.
I thought of a question just as I looked at the next question. Does the select board have any other questions? I know I have one.
Just with regard to elections, do you feel like you're knowledgeable enough about election law to be the boss for this next election?
I think, obviously we're sitting here July 1.
You're right.
Do I think that there will need to be some knowledge catch up between now and then? Absolutely, I do.
Okay.
But I think I'm knowledgeable enough generally about elections that it I think it'll feel pretty intuitive to me, especially because I grew up around here and I watched my parents, my grandparents, and my aunts and cousins all vote. Not all of them were voting in Shutesbury, but obviously they all did. And to me, I mean, not that you can make up for everything with enthusiasm, but I mean, that's the core of the job that's so important, right? Is making sure that the town can get its business done and that everyone can participate in the beautiful way that only happens in towns like Shutesbury. And so, I think I would make it my business to get as up to date as possible. And I would be excited genuinely, I am a what's the word? Trial by fire guy. I'm not super afraid of that. I find that it often helps me like really lock in and I pick up things quick and
Might be some of those opportunities.
but anyway, I hope that answered the question.
It does.
Thank you.
Jim, did you have any other?
I don't.
So the one
But I-
question. Oh,
Are you gonna, no, go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
The one question I have is, and Eric touched on it a little bit about election day being stressful or leading up to election being stressful. How do you handle stress in a work environment
Yeah.
or in general, I suppose,
Yeah.
just being in general? What do you-
Either or, right? Yeah, no, thank you. I find that preparation is kind of 9/10 gets me there. I have done, it's actually not on my resume. I've done a little work in the service industry. I've definitely been in situations where you're kind of in the thick of it, so to speak.
Nice
And like,
customer service down at the bottom.
yeah. And things are, when things get crazy and you're having a bunch of different, kind of demands being put on you, that's certainly not easy. Like I said, I'm a list guy. The number one most important thing for me that helps me de-stress is to know that I have everything kind of in my view, right? And that it's on my plate. I know what's on my plate. I know what I need to do. Generally speaking, no matter how stressful a given moment is, as long as I kind of keep that momentum of that motion, right, moving forward, I manage it pretty well. I also know when to, take a moment and ask for help or like, be willing to defer to someone who may be a little bit clear-headed than I am in that moment and just, get their help, get their expertise, get their feedback. And usually I can turn that back and, the productive wheels sort of start to turn again. Yeah.
Jim, I cut you off there for a
No,
second.
that's okay. I didn't have any other questions. I'm just gonna go over the process timeline once we're ready to wrap
And
up.
Eric, who's the next one?
My next question was, do you have any questions for us?
Well, I asked Haley and the chief this same question the other day, but I would love to hear from all of you. If I were to be offered this role, what's one piece of advice you would have for me, kind of starting when I am in the election cycle and all that? Would you have kind of a snippet of wisdom?
He's looking at me.
You must be the wisdom guy.
I mean, I would say just the whole election thing itself is,
Yeah.
I wouldn't make light of it.
Yeah.
It's just a real, Leslie can tell you, she used to run it. She used to be a town clerk. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's all. I think just that would be my advice to you, would be just make sure you're really confident about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Be ready for anything every day. There'll be people showing up inside your area here up above here.
All right.
Be ready for anything.
All right.
I like that.
So mine goes along with the question I asked, stay calm and breathe.
Mm,
Don't
Yeah.
hold your breath.
Right.
It makes it worse.
I love that. Yeah. Critical. Thank you all so much. That's all really helpful.
Yeah, I think it's real cool. It's a cool way to really understand the mechanisms of municipal government, all the different pieces,
Yeah.
the characters in town, whether they be select board people or
Right.
people, just members of town looking for whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's where the sausage gets made, right? It's
Yeah,
all substance and not a lot of flair, especially in like a smaller town like Shutesbury. And I like that. I want substance, and I want to do work that will actively like improve people's sense of like how the town is operating and what they can expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing regarding expectations, we have to balance our budget every year. So, like you were in DC for quite a while, so you have a different way of doing things there. But
Occasionally.
we have to balance budgets here.
Oh yeah. Well, lucky for you, I was never put in charge of any money that I didn't have to answer for. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jim, do you want to give our process timeline to?
Yeah, so first thing would be some references. If you have some references, like 3 references.
Okay.
If you could get those to Haley.
Sure.
And sometime, hopefully very quickly, with an offer letter will be going out to the selected candidate.
Okay.
And then there's a background check that happens pretty quickly, does that?
Yeah, so usually once we get like a signed offer letter back, we'll do the background check, and the offer letter will say that the permanent position is contingent upon passing.
Yeah.
That's still possible to do all that by July 7th?
I'm a fast mover.
Hmm?
I'm a fast.
Okay, it's July 7th. It's all gonna happen. Done.
Well, at least in my case, that background check, I should
Okay.
pass with flying colors. Knock on wood.
All right.
With your DC.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
6 days out from now should be all wrapped up.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
So
So for you, you just get the references to Haley.
okay. Will do. All right. Well, thank you all for having me here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Hey,
Thank
I will-
you. Thanks for coming out.
Of course. I will leave you to your business.
Stay cool out there.
Yes. Likewise.
Nice to see you.
You as well.
You just assume it from your lips.
We'll see.
Do you know how to plug in a computer?
Hmm.
You know how to turn it off and turn it back on again?
Always at some point, right?
Unplug and throw it out the window.
Take
Take
care.
care.
You.
Did you ask that in earlier sessions?
What's that?
Yeah, we had covered that. We went over that. So yeah, so
It's pretty self-explanatory on the resume.
yeah, I didn't want to say earlier just because I wanted to get into the interview, but Devin and I had done like screening interviews. We did those last week, so we had some similar-ish questions to this, but it's like a little bit different.
You were with, do you say Brennan?
Devin and I.
Oh,
yeah.
Devin. Okay. Okay, yep.
Okay, so our next topic, what's our next minute? 3:45 you said?
Yes.
Okay, we've got 15 minutes. Our
Calvin Ellison.
Hills. In.
ELISM.
grandpa.
Grandparents.
No, his grandfather is Ron Berger.
Right, but I thought it's.
His dad lives in Amherst. I just know him.
Son, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Sometimes we need to take a second for no, honestly. Let's see, so we probably should move on to approving minutes, right? Okay. So, do I hear a motion to approve the minute for June 22nd, 2026?
So moved.
Do I hear a second for approving?
I
know
can
you weren't
I
here.
can second. I
You
have to
second.
abstain on.
Yeah. I'll second.
We're throwing everything at you.
That's
Jim.
okay.
We're saying-
I'm right. Yep. Mhm.
In fact, we're also having a meeting before our regular schedule just to do some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So we can celebrate you more at our regular meeting.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So, were there any edits or clarifications in those minutes? I didn't see any.
I didn't see any either. No, they were good.
All those in favor?
Stalker eye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Bolton abstain.
And then we have to accept the resignation of 2 people. April Stein from the Personal Court and Jill Bancroft from the Shrewsbury Police Department. So do you want to make a motion here or Jim?
Yeah. I move that we accept the resignations of April's time to the Personnel Board, and Jill Bancroft from the Shrewsbury Police Department.
Any?
I'll second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, where's reading?
Yeah.
Second.
You have to get in
I'm a little
first.
slow.
That's why
Mm,
I'm a seconder.
mm,
Oh, yes, usually he seconds.
Right.
Either make a motion or I would make a motion. She'd say so moved. That's
Okay,
not what you have
We'll
to
get
play that.
we'll get a system down.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we'll figure it out.
First like
Yeah.
15-20 minutes.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Hmm.
So, okay, so do I hear, all those in favor of accepting those two resignations?
Stalker, aye.
Walton, I.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. And then we also, and those will have thank you notes, Brennan?
They're right here. I
Perfect.
wasn't sure who would be chair, so I didn't leave them in a pile.
Oh, no,
But I have all the signing things are here.
What a diplomat.
Right? That was the right thing to
Just a-
do.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
question regarding all this?
Yeah.
Regarding the police resignation, is there like an outgoing interview or as far as understanding? How does that
It
usually
was,
kind of?
well, I don't know if Chief Pelletier did an exit interview, but
Yeah.
this move is really, she's leaving the state,
Oh, okay.
relocating.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
that was why. It was-
okay,
He did try to keep.
yeah,
Yeah, we did
Okay.
try pretty hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
The commute would be a little long.
yeah.
So normally we do, exit interviews with employees.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to two appointments. Let's take these individually because they're so different from one another. So the first is Cliff Reed as the select board designee for the Board of Parks Commissioner on the Community Preservation Committee. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay,
Can I just ask you a question? What is the Board of Parks? What is this, some state term? We don't have a Board of Parks, do we?
Ms. Hale, are you listening?
I'm always listening.
Hmm.
So in the CPA statute, one of the seats on the committee is for the Board of Park Commissioners. And if there is any board or committee that's supposed to be on the CPC that does not actually exist in a town, then the select board gets to designate somebody to serve in that position. So this seat is because we don't have a Board of Park Commissioners.
All right.
okay. Any further questions before we vote? All those in favor?
Stalker, aye.
Walton, I.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. The next one is to appoint April Stein to the Board of Assessors. She did want to remain on the Board of Assessors. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we, you want to?
Yeah, good. So moved.
Yep, that's good. And then second,
Second.
so any questions on that one? No? All those in favor?
Stalker, aye.
Walton, I.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye. Review a special event application for Historical Commission. Set up an informational table on the town common on July 5th.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to speak to her, Leslie, or do you want me to go over the application?
I would just like to say that we're not going to be doing anything big. It's going to be very tame. We've got a Rogers 1776 flag. We've got a little banner. And I was just going to give you a little copy of just in 1976, the ball was cleaned out probably for the first time in 80 years. And that is a fortunate thing because things got kept. And I'm gonna give you folks a copy. I don't know that any of you know that, Stewsbury, when it was incorporated, went all the way to the center of window. There was no window. Irvingshire came all the way down to the side. So here, for example, what I'm going to give you is a copy of the alphabetical list of names of the polls for the north part of Shutesbury, the north part of Shutesbury and the south part of Irvingshire became Wendell. And on this particular list, in the south part, it is Daniel Shea's name. He lived in Shutesbury. His first child was born in Shutesbury. So these are the kinds of documents that we
Sorry, I didn't mean to-
encased in the seventies for the 200th anniversary.
Nice.
These are important things for people to know about. We'll probably do something in the commission. We'll probably do something in the fall. And it's pretty exciting stuff for a hot summer Sunday day. And
That's true.
it's really fascinating stuff.
Awesome. And remind me of what time it's happening?
It's 10:30 to 1.
Okay.
We were gonna have lemonades and cookies, but I don't know if that we're gonna bake. It might be watermelon instead.
Watermelon is hydrating.
That's right.
Healthy.
Yes, please stop by again if you authorize us to do this. We're not advertising. I keep saying we, but it's the historical commission that's mine with this.
Any further questions?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's good.
So do I hear a motion?
I move we give the historical commission permission to have an informational table on the town common on July 5th.
Second,
All those in favor?
Stalker eye.
Walton, I.
Make peace and real eye.
Well, I suppose we could.
We have to find that.
Yeah, we don't think.
There you go.
Time to do it. We didn't know the select board meeting today. So they're wondering, that's the question, why are we not advertising? We're not prepared for a large crowd either. It's too short notice, but if you want to take these home and look at them, it's really fun information. And this is just a sample of the kind of, your paper wasn't
Right?
typewriter paper.
No, it's parchment paper.
Paper.
Boy, they didn't have a write back then, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's also
It was a thing. Here you go.
information about our penny tax, which is one of the triggers for the country party. It like, it's just that's here.
Who would have written this out? Who would have been the actual
That's.
handwriting?
Counselor?
Smart.
That's what I figured. We should have Cal give us a sample, right? A writing sample.
Dickinson, huh?
You want to read about what we did, to distribute for the penny tax. If you don't want your documents, give it back.
Oh, I do.
And I also, I didn't know anything about the penny tax, but it was on paper. Playing cards. I wouldn't have guessed they had playing cards and something.
They did.
Another thing, it might have been tobacco or something, but. It was just breaking the backs of the subsistence farmers to be paying these taxes. And it erupted into.
Yeah, you gave me this too.
The revolution had be much more. Food as a commission by later fall and yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. That's
I think the commission will thank you, the members.
Yeah.
your request is actually partly why we met today.
Thank you.
That's great.
It just seemed like on the 4th of July weekend of this event, it would be nice for the town to have something, and lo and behold, what do we have? But our guide board to.
I know. That's pretty cool.
What a hardworking,
Now, does that still need a base on, there is a base, just temporary base under now?
it's the base that was in place before it went away, it needs. The Williamstown people are recommending a concrete base and people aren't certain yet where that concrete from the base should be. And that's my understanding. So I think it may be time before.
Do we have money set up for that? I can't remember.
I thought there was in restoration. I believe so, but someone would have to check on that. Mateo?
Yeah, there was a CPA grant awarded for the concrete base 2
Okay,
years
yeah,
ago and approved by a meeting.
good. Great.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you. I look forward to stopping by.
Is there communication wise,
Is what,
is there a lot of notice or information, people awareness?
well,
Yeah.
that was asked to the audience when I was up
Yeah.
giving papers, but
Yeah.
the point is, we didn't think this would happen because we knew there was no select board meeting.
Yeah,
And I, for one, would not want to be having an event on the common. And we're not really prepared. This historical commission did not meet until June 23rd. And that's when the idea was developed. So there's been some scrambling.
yeah. Hope to get the word out there good, so.
Well, I'm not sure, we've got to pass on the police and fire presence because we're describing it
Mhm.
as a small thing. If we get gauge that people are interested, then we will have a more formal program in the fall that we will advertise and that can have a venue that's appropriate and more handouts and more explanations. But this is just last minute because that was when the meeting occurred and
Yep.
get something on our town common on the actual weekend.
Yeah,
Could a small display go to the library?
We haven't talked with it, Janice.
Yeah.
Talked with Mary Ann about
Okay.
that, yeah. Mary Ann would be the one to say
Mhm.
whether or not she would want to do that.
True. Well, I would thought maybe you could do a small display here, but I was hesitant because given the nature of the documents, I don't know if you would want them left out. You'd want someone to supervise. it.
The originals.
Yeah.
The originals stay in the vault.
Okay.
These originals are really the town clerk's documents. The commission works with copies of things. I did borrow some of them because the 1976
Mhm.
people commissioned visual work. But they stay involved.
So maybe we could, if,
I would just love, I would personally.
yeah, we could have that up like through the month of July. Why not?
Why not build them all over?
Or that.
And well.
Yeah, but we could definitely set up a table for that.
And I guess I should just also say that Jan Stone is on commission and she's doing a lot of, it was her concept. She's doing a lot of work and her daughter Carrie Stone, who is an excellent poster maker, is going to be providing posters. So you can very much like what could be put on.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
Great. So the next item follows right through into the 4th of July. Is to vote to close town offices on Monday, the 6th in observance of July 4th holiday. Do you want to?
Yes, so
You
initially,
had your fingers in it more than I have.
yeah, initially we had thought, oh, you observe it on a Friday, but then there was some, I think, discrepancy in the bylaw and how it handles weekend holidays. So what we're gonna do, or what I'm proposing, what I've asked, is that we would just close on Monday. And then we're gonna have a special town meeting in the fall, and this is thinking ahead, but I think it would be better if we remove all the language about holidays and time off from the bylaw and just have it be policy based. That way we can be a little bit more flexible because bylaw will supersede policy. So if we can just kind of button things up a little bit that way, going forward, we'll always have more flexibility. And when we started doing this year, thanks to Brennan, is just sending out new, because this hadn't been done before, a list of all the federal holidays to town employees so that they could plan in advance when they're going to be off. And if we have to make adjustments, it's better to do it via policy. So just a little, yeah, the bylaws just seem to say something a little bit different than what the observance for closing on the Friday before was. And not everyone works on the Friday. So that's why we've asked to do it on Monday.
And Haley asked me, and I said we should vote just to make it official. Yeah.
Okay.
So, any questions?
No, I move that we vote to close the town offices on Monday, July 6th in observance of the July 4th holiday.
second,
Okay, all those in favor?
Stocker, aye.
Walton, I.
Make people feel like. So I think it's time for our next interview. So while they're coming in, we have these to sign for Jim and Eric.
And we'll do a town announce about the Monday closure
I kind of-
before
Yeah.
the Friday. before.
Here's a single signature, guys.
There's one thing you learn how to do is sign your name.
That's right. Don't have auto pens.
No,
No worries.
no, we don't have a lot of. Wait, oh, wait. Sign it. Okay, this is great.
Yep. Not yet? Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Hey,
Hey, Dan. You can come have the hot seat. It's all yours.
How
are you?
Jim Walton?
Jen,
Yep.
Eric Stocker, nice to see you.
good to see you again.
Likewise.
I was out there for a while. I thought you were having
Oh,
another meeting in here, so I didn't wanna.
and a little interview with a little bit of business, you know, back and forth, warming ourselves up. Okay, so, Damon, thank you for coming to meet with us and, answer our questions that we may have for you about the clerk's position. So first, I think we'll go around and introduce ourselves and then we'll ask you to introduce yourself. Eric. Go ahead.
I am Eric Stocker. I'm on the select board, obviously, and have been, this is my 6th year. Town stuff way too long.
Well, 6th year on the select board.
So, yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, Jim Walton, just starting on select board, but coming from finance committee.
I think you and I met, were you involved with the internet when we were deciding to put it in?
Way back.
Yeah,
That was quite a while ago now.
yeah.
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 Yes.
I was in the broadband.
That was,
You look familiar, but I
Yeah.
wasn't sure, but I definitely,
yeah, that was a cool time, actually. Pretty cool the way that all came together.
yeah.
And now we're using it.
Yeah.
Now we have internet.
Well, out there counting too.
Is this the same internet here as we have in the house? or
Yeah, yeah.
Government?
It's just- It
My
used to
phone is
be-
very slow here, whereas at home, I tell my wife sometimes, if I think about where I'm gonna go, sometimes it just pops up, because it's just so fast.
Maybe because there's many machines on this particular.
I remember right before we got it in, I did a speed analysis of what I had, because I was going through Verizon. It was 75K.
Right, yeah.
I could go and click on something and I could go make a sandwich and take a short nap, come
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
and maybe. So,
All right.
anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. We've all been very pleased with that. So Melissa McBee, I'm in my 8th year on the select board. So introduce yourself and let us know what draws you to this position. What brought you here?
Well, Damon Herring, I've been living in Shutesbury now for almost 12 years. Met my wife online, I dated and married, and she owned a home, and so I decided to move up here to stay where I am. I have 0 years on the select board. My background is mostly business. I've been on the road. I want to say I'm the proverbial traveling salesman. I'm a territory manager, been dealing with the construction industry, kitchen and bath, stones, things like that. And within the job, I have to deal with literally, I was about to say hundreds, but probably a couple of thousand people, and trying to always keep them happy as I can. So I have a lot of experience in that regard, even though I'm not a big believer that business is the best possible choice in government. I think they operate 2 different ways. But I'm staying home now, closer to home. I've been traveling now for about 15 years on the road, putting anywhere from 40 to 60,000 miles on a car a year. And I'm just ready to be a little bit closer here. And I said I've been here all this time, but the thing is, I've always been traveling through Connecticut or Eastern Mass or Rhode Island. I've spent very, very little time here, even though I do know my neighbors very well. But I thought if I'm here, get to know the town, offer a little bit more. I mean, the last time I offered any really input was with the internet. So, and I pay attention to what's going on and watching what's going around town. But I love this town. I was surprised when I first came here. I thought you people were living out in the middle of the forest.
No, we're the center. That's what people have on.
Yeah, I joked with my wife in the beginning. I said, I think I just heard Tarzan.
Yeah.
So I'm used to living in more urban areas. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and I lived in Connecticut for about 25 years. So, and very populated towns, things like that.
All right, so the first question is, as town clerk, you will work closely with the select board, town administrator, and committees. How do you view the ideal working relationship between the town clerk's office and the select board? And how will you ensure we are kept proactively involved with critical compliance of election matters or election matters?
Well, what that is just constantly being in communication with the different members of the board. Any situations that come up or any emergencies that come up, to be able to know who to talk to if it's not myself. And just keep everybody informed as to where the process is, how it's developing, how it's moving along. One of my background things is I had to do a lot of projects for people, and literally you go from A all the way to Z, and making sure that everybody's on board so people aren't calling you up asking you questions or getting upset because you're not responding to what their needs are or their information. One of the questions we had last week was that exact thing. It's, you have a person in the public who comes in and they're upset about something, they want something resolved. If it can't be resolved right away, you need just to sort of keep them involved with the process so they don't have to keep calling back and asking you where you are, what's going on, and keeping that temperature high. You want to bring it down as low as possible. But we're dealing with the different members here is just to keep everybody informed. Do as much information gathering as you can for each situation that comes up. Hopefully.
Okay.
Okay, my turn. Your first round, your first interview here talked about a 30 to 60-day assessment plan. And let's say assume that's done now. The assessment plan is done. And you found some significant disorganization in our records management or digital archiving. How would you approach proposing and implementing a structural overhaul on a part-time 25-hour per week budget that you're?
Well, I keep hearing how important this job is and how little time you have to do it in.
Yeah.
Those don't match.
No.
One of the nicest things I told her about her email to me was she always adds in there, I may not be in the office, but I will respond. I have the feeling in the beginning that 25 hours a week is probably not going to be a time frame that will be met. It's probably a lot more in the beginning. I think you're asking the question because maybe that situation is already here where things are in disarray.
I wouldn't draw that conclusion, but it's,
Okay.
all
right.
Could be.
Well, you're asking me the question.
That's hypothetical.
It sounds like it's
Yeah.
getting me some.
Yeah.
So,
If I could use some improvement.
Well, I would say, we haven't had, like I said, in the first interview, there hasn't been a dedicated singular person in that office for quite a long time. So naturally, things just kind of,
Yeah.
one person tucks it away here and then another person tucks the same kind of files and places, that kind of thing.
well, as we discussed in that meeting, the thing is, if you have 4 interim town managers, you have 4 people doing the job. in a somewhat different way. They're not all going to do the same way. They also probably also all have different projects that they're in the middle of working on. So the most important thing is to get down with them individually, find out what they're working on, if there's any problems in any of those areas that they're dealing with, how much they've done, and how much I can pick up from that point. Sometimes you don't want to pick up in the middle of a project with somebody, but you do want to help that guy, that person to get through the end of it, if that's what's needed. The only way I can answer that question is to meet with the individuals and pick it up from there and move it forward and prioritize those issues that are glaring and in your face and need an immediate attention. One of the discussions that the chief of police brought up was the upcoming election. And there was a priority. So that's something that it sounds like it needs to really be addressed up front because we're 4 months away from the election?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I need to meet with the election board committee, the people that you have involved with it now. I need to find out, were there any problems in the past, or is there any problems that anybody sees coming up that I'm not going to be aware of right at this moment? And to address all of those. Sometimes you end up talking to town clerks in other towns saying, hey, what's your experience? Have you had any problems? Is there anything that is glaring, anything that you have that I might not have thought of? And then you have to make a few adjustments. And I think one of the words we used was, how can you guarantee a perfect election? And I never try to guarantee anything that I don't have 100% control of or 100% say of. And even with that, I probably wouldn't guarantee it. But the thing is, you look at the process and you say, well, what could possibly go wrong? To some of the people that we have coming in, do they get sick? What am I going to do? Well, I need to have some people in the reserve. Any number of things can happen.
Let's go back to this assessment. You've assessed as an issue and you think you have a solution. How would you go about implementing the solution?
Well,
This records issue you've identified as an issue during your assessment.
well, are you talking about a records issue in which something has been mishandled on a government level, or just
Or just organizational, could be an organizational.
I can offer an example. So an example might be, let's say somebody submitted a dog license, but in the interim where there was no one, maybe it came in on a day when our assistant town clerk wasn't there. So we put it someplace and now nobody knows where it went. Maybe that kind of issue that you're talking about.
Yeah.
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 well, if it's paperwork that's missing and nobody knows where it is, then I think the obvious thing is you're going to have to resubmit some paperwork. I know it's going to be inconvenient to whoever the person is that has the dog, but hopefully I can present it to them in such a way that they can be understanding and sit there and say, look, I did it before, but we're trying to get things a little bit straighter and easier to deal here. And somebody lost the paperwork. I find that most people be understanding. There are some people that aren't, but as I say, I deal with hundreds of people every day, or was dealing with hundreds of people every day. And in the construction industry, the saying is, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and whatever your budget is, that's not the real dollar. So these are things that I have to deal with on a regular basis, and I sort of knew how to deal with people on that thing. As far as losing a piece of paperwork, it has to be found, it has to be filed. You have to do whatever it takes to get that done. I don't know if the dog license would be a priority right off the bat, but anything of that nature, the most important things, we're talking about the elections. We want to get that as smoothly as possible. We want to make sure that it appears that, it's completely unbiased and we're not trying to help any one person over another person. We want to be able to do that, and we want to be able to present that to the citizens of Shutesbury in that manner. So they feel confident that their vote matters and that it will go through and everything is done above board. I don't see that it being a problem here. I've been here 12 years, never heard once anybody felt like the vote didn't go their way. So,
So my question goes back to kind of the internet, the way the community has surrounded themselves with the internet. Dewsbury is a highly engaged community, where residents value transparency and accessibility. In a small town, the town clerk frequently interacts with neighbors and acquaintances in an official capacity. How do you balance being approachable and customer service oriented while firmly holding strict state statutory deadlines and regulations, even when it's unpopular?
Well, once again, I think a lot of that is in your personality, if I approach something. If deadlines have to be made, you have to, reinforce that to the person that you're dealing with. I don't have a habit of getting mad at people or raising my voice over something. I will find the quickest and best path to get the person to adhere to what I need. But also reminding myself that not only am I the town clerk, but I pay taxes in this town as well. So I'm a citizen here. I guess if we go back to the old, I don't know if it's a biblical thing, but treat everybody as you want to be treated yourself. I know that there are going to be people. There are always somebody out there that just loses their mind, and no matter what you say to them, it's not going to be good. Do the best I can possibly can to bring the temperature down.
Okay.
Okay, as previously noted, some systems need structural rebuilding, but our town can't press pause on the calendar. You'll be stepping into this role right before a major election cycle and will have to hit the ground running with little room for error. How do you balance the demands of running an election while simultaneously diagnosing and fixing the systematic administrative gaps in the office?
Well, problems and administrative gaps are, you fix one, another one shows up. That's the constant dance, is to be able to identify it and make a decision on how best to approach it. Sometimes I'm the person that can do that, but sometimes I have to reach out to others and ask them for their advice, come up with the best possible advice. It's just a matter of keeping your eye on that ball. Something's going to come up, and it's going to be, I'm sure your interim clerks have found that as soon as they fix one problem, another one comes up, that's just constant. I can't begin to tell you the number of times in a week that I get a call like, Damon, this has gone wrong, that's gone wrong. Sometimes I can answer it immediately because I have the information stored in my brain already to know how to do that. That's going to be a little learning curve here for this position. You haven't had anybody doing it full time for, I think, several years now. And I have to collect information from other people. All that has to be gathered and put in a pot and looked at and determine really what are the first things that I have to do. I mean, is once again, I go back to the dog license. I might sit there and put that on the bottom of the page and say, look, I don't have to deal with this for 3-4 weeks. But this thing for the election, this is going to consume all my thinking for the next 2-3 days because this is an emergency. This is a problem. Who do I talk? How do I fix it? What paperwork do I have to get in? So I prioritize what the problem is and I address it full on. I think you would find that, if you were to call any of the people that I've worked over, the number one thing they'll say is Damon is fantastic at service. Because I have this thing, I cannot sit on something. I really get agita. I can't sit on something. I have to take care of the thing that is wrong as quickly as possible, or if somebody needs some help, that's where my focus goes.
Okay, thanks.
What would long-term success look like to you in this role? And then the second part would be, it's a part-time position here in Shutesbury. How does it align with your broader professional goals?
Well, I guess the sign of success is that there's not a mob with torches out front calling my name. That's always a good sign. Um, I would think that, I'm going to constantly be asking her, how am I doing? Yeah, it's important for me to get some feedback along that way. I would like to sit there and say, it's not a success to get to the point where things move rather smoothly, but it is a town and things are constantly happening. Um, I guess the answer to that question is that if I feel that the people coming in are looking at me and saying, you're doing the job that I needed to get done, you were responsive, and that the people in the town are sitting there saying, yes, he's moving forward, he's got the answers when we need them. We're not having to look over his shoulder and sit there and say, what about this or what about that? Even though there will be, I'm sure, occasions when people will do that. But even with that, just being responsive to that, it could be something that, I just let slip in my mind or something along those lines. But the overall is if I can see that people from the town and the administration here sees that things are going swimmingly, that's the only sign I need. I don't need anybody to call me up and say, well, you're doing a great job or anything. I just, as long as everybody is happy and things are going okay and nobody gets a call from somebody saying, what's that guy over there doing? That's the important part.
Thanks.
Does the select board have any other questions that weren't outlined here?
Just if, do you feel confident about that you would have enough knowledge of the election law to basically step into the whole election process right at the beginning of your job? Did you have enough of that, or would you be able to get enough of that knowledge, you think?
I could tell you I could, but what would that mean to you?
All right.
I'll give you a little piece of my past. I got divorced, ended up giving my whole business to my wife, and I had to go out and start working again. And instead of starting a business, I got a job. And I got a job in the world that I ended up staying at, in the construction, in kitchens and baths. I will tell you this, what I knew about quartz and granite and marble and porcelain and you name it was,
Didn't know.
no, it was less than that.
Yeah.
What's that movie, Less Than Zero? I had no clue. I really did. So what I had to do is I had to go in there. Not only did I have to do the job, which was visiting people, selling prices, I had to learn the stuff too. And it was quite the experience. And I really, when I wasn't working, I'm sitting there talking to people, asking them what I needed to know about all these different products. And the funny thing I kept finding is everybody had a different answer. And I felt, okay, this is going to be pretty good. But within about 4 months, 5 months, people were asking me questions about the product, how to take care of it, how to clean it, what do you do this, what's it made of, what's the history stuff. I knew it all. Before 6 months in that company, in the area that I was assigned with, a couple of other people, I was the number one salesperson. And so it was the information, all that information that I learned, all the stuff that I learned helped me with the sell. It wasn't just like going in here and, hey, my product is $1 cheaper than everybody else. Because my product wasn't. I was selling the most expensive stuff out there. So I needed all that information. So it is an education. What do I know about election laws? I know that you can't prevent me from voting, and that's pretty much it. But once I start, as I said, my priority, based on the conversation we had last week, is that's the priority. That's the number one thing that has to be addressed. It's coming up quickly. I don't think there's anything really more important going on in the town unless there's something I haven't heard about, anything more important than what's coming up. And, these elections are more important than ever, and people are vastly, excited or upset or whatever they are. But they want to be able to come in here and make sure that we're good. Now, we've never had a voting problem here, right? That you know of, so it's gone off pretty smoothly. I know every time I come, I'm in and out in 5 minutes, but
We've had recounts and, a couple specific things, but nothing that was overly,
nobody accused anybody of cheating or anything like that, so.
But I'm over anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, well, recounts are pretty common. I mean, every election has some recounts going on, so. But yeah, I will throw myself into that as the priority of what's coming up.
Jim, do you have any further questions? So my one question is, I also work in construction, so I know how it can get. So how do you deal with stress in the work environment? What do you do when you stressful moment or week, or how do you handle the stress?
This is gonna be a little saccharine, but I don't drink, I don't do drugs, so how do you have relief? I will tell you this, anything that does with stress or anything like that, like my wife is my psychiatrist, my best friend, and the thing is, if I get upset about something, which does happen, it's very rare. You'll never see it, I guarantee you that. Yeah. I just sit there and talk to her, and about 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh yeah, why didn't I think about that? So she's the alternative to it. So I don't get super stressed out. I'm not gonna lie and say I never do, but I don't get that stressed out. I really don't. I have a philosophy that no matter what the problem is in the long term, there will be a day that I will forget about that problem because I'm dealing with a new one. So, yes,
That philosophy is true. Yeah.
it is true. I learned that from Einstein. He said, no matter what happens in this world, good or bad, it doesn't matter what it is, how bad it is, or how good it is. It's always pushing you forward to something better. So, I try to remember that every day.
Do you have any questions for us? That's the other question, the last question we would ask.
Well, I think one of the things, I guess the most important thing is well, first of all, when do you want somebody to come in? Because this election is coming up rather quickly. And on the other hand, I have my wife, who I love, I have to take her to Boston for a few days between the 10th and the 15th for some medical stuff. So I wouldn't be available tomorrow. Even though I probably start on some stuff like the election laws, stuff like that. I think the most important thing is, is trying to remember that, as I said before, we're the government, but we're also the citizens here. And that's what I'm trying to maintain when I do this. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I try to do the write-in vote. And I kept getting messages from people asking me which side I was on. I was like, I don't know which side there is on this, but I think it was, are you Republican or Democrat? So, yeah, so avoiding that kind of stress with the people, if that is a stress thing. No, I don't have a lot right now. I mean, we went over so much on that first meeting, and as I say, I already understand. I mean, a lot of it is paperwork, a lot of it is dog licenses and marriage certificates and stuff like that. But the election seemed to be the major concern, and I work with a lot of people. So working with the chief of police, working with guys, sharing information. I don't have any problem with that. I get along pretty much with everybody. And I do a good job in the business world. This will be my first government job. Is it technically a government job?
Yes.
Yeah.
Municipal
Does it give me any benefits?
Call us the government, I guess.
Yeah. Well, as we also discussed, we are the government and the government is us. So, if you get mad at the government, you can only just look in the mirror and
Right.
you're the problem.
Okay.
Jim, you kind of give
Good.
us.
Yeah, the process, this is as far as the process and timeline from here. Hopefully wrapping this all up within the next 6 days, six
Okay.
days or so. So by the 7th of July,
Okay.
should be word back. But next step for you is getting 3 references to Haley. If you could provide her with 3 references. And,
Any particular type of reference?
Just hopefully professional references. Yeah, if you can just send me 3. And if, for example, if it had to be a client or like a colleague, that's fine.
That will be no problem.
okay, so that, and then, an offer letter will go out, sometime after that. There's a background check that's in there. And then hopefully this is all wrapped up by the 7th, which is, so it's a very fast timeline,
Mhm.
6 days. So.
We're putting a little stress on here.
I'll start-
Okay for you for getting 3 references to Haley with that?
Oh, yeah, you can probably have it to you tomorrow before 12 o'clock
Okay,
or
yeah,
this afternoon, who knows?
yeah.
I do have to go to the library, throw away my old toilets today, so maybe tomorrow.
That's totally fine.
So, yeah, the background check, I've never been arrested, I've never gone bankrupt or anything like that, so I'm pretty good. I did have to go once to Connecticut because, for some reason my name came up as a murderer, but it was
Right.
resolved within about an hour.
Right.
Heck of a story.
Yeah.
That's the Connecticut record system.
Yeah, really. There's a record system.
To work on.
Can you imagine walking in somebody's office and say, you can't have this job because accused murderer? And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Right.
crazy.
So anyway, long story, but I'm not. Yeah, I think you'll, as far as background check, and there's nothing there to say really.
No, just explain the steps, just so you know the steps.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, nope,
just part of the process.
okay.
Perfect. Well, I think that's it, that we're done.
Okay,
So thank you for
Thank you.
coming in and spending time with us and answering our questions and for,
well, hopefully I'll be spending a lot more time with you.
All right.
All right? Well, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Stay cool out there.
I will get you
Nice
those
to see you.
references tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Don't entertain your cook.
It was great. That's all she wrote.
so, and then we did the vote, we did this. Haley, did you have any updates that you think we need other than what we've just all done?
Nope.
Um,
I'll have my TA report for the next meeting.
Yep.
That's it.
next meeting is at what time on the 7th?
Okay.
5 on the 7th?
And that's now at that time, how do we, I can't remember how we do this hiring. Do we do that to just talk at that meeting that'll be an agenda, right?
It'll be,
Yeah,
yeah.
yep, it'll be on the agenda.
Okay.
And so I'll have all the materials for you.
Plus you would have already done the background checks and the reference checks.
If I'm not able to do the background check, what I'll do is I'll have in the offer letter that the final is contingent on that, so that people know. Because that part I'm not sure Devin can do that.
Okay.
But the references should be easier.
All right.
What do you need from us as far as into the feedback?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that'll be an agenda topic, so it'll be discussed at the next.
The next one.
Yeah.
Because we have time to mull it over.
On the 7th.
Yes,
Okay,
because
okay.
I wanted you to have the references before you always want to check references. first.
Absolutely, yeah.
Everyone has that story when you didn't check. a
I
reference.
could actually think of a story, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means, do I hear a vote to adjourn? I mean, sorry, not a vote, a motion.
I'll make my first motion.
Go for it.
To adjourn.
Okay, Eric,
Second,
all those in favor?
Walton, I.
Stalker, I.
Make use O'Neill. Aye.
Okay.
Thank you for attending.
Bye.
Very much.
Yeah.
See ya.